Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching from. Just had to do a quick relocation, so a little bit late getting started today, but that's okay. Um, so how is everybody doing? Give a couple of minutes for everybody to sign on. Let me know where you are watching from. Hoping for somebody to tune in from Mexico, but we'll see. She might be quite busy today. Um, but yeah, how's your week going? How are things? Um, it's been stormy, rainy, windy here in fabulous Vancouver. But we all want a white Christmas, of course, but um, when you have to go out and about and be driving, then I think rather just rain. Makes it a lot easier. So I am curious, where are you all headed this year for 2025 or next year? For 4 or 5 days away. Um, I know I've got a big trip coming up in January, going on an Explora cruise. So that's supposed to be quite nice. It's a bit posh, and um, I mean they've got Dyson hair dryers in the cabins, which at Costco are about they were on sale during Black Friday for like $400. Floors are heated, that kind of thing. So it's a very nice ship. But on top of that, they're going to some different ports. So we're going to the island of Saint Martin, but we're going to Marigot instead of Phillipsburg, which is the main place that everyone would normally go in. But the thing with Marigot is it'll be a tender, which is unfortunate. On the positive side, it's very close to Maho Beach, so I might get a little taxi, go over to Maho Beach, which is where the airport is, which is where those planes come right over top. Hey, good morning, Christine. How are you? I am very curious to hear what you thought of Hyatt Vivid. Christine is, of course, just back from there. And I did see a lot of your Facebook posts and stuff, and it looked like you were having a good time with only the. Well, of course, going home day is always rainy day, right? It's just, I don't know why, but it always just seems to work out that way, which is kind of unfortunate. But hopefully, you had good weather for the rest of it. And good morning, good afternoon, Angelo. Good afternoon for you. Um, hope you are doing well. Hope you guys are, well, I don't know if you celebrate the holidays or not. If you do, I hope you are having a great week. Um, but yeah, so the thing I like about this Explorer cruise is that it is, slightly different ports. Like it's a smaller ship, so it has a maximum of about 1,000 passengers, and I think the crew to passenger ratio is like 2 to 1 or something like that. It's pretty amazing. Um, so yeah, that should be quite interesting. I don't know if I told you guys or not, but let's see if this changes the view. Oh, she says she loved it. Oh, interesting. Okay, now, oh, that's just showing everything. Okay, I prefer it this way. Um, okay, good, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And wow, returning in May already. Nice. Now, did you book for Vantage Club on the trip back? Curious. I think you did book for Vantage Club this trip because I know you had access to the rooftop pool and stuff like that. But yeah, interesting. Yes, and Merry Christmas to you, Angelo. Good, good, good. Um, yeah, when I had to call in to finish my online check-in for the Explorer cruise, my chair is just wildly doing different things. And I think I told you guys, they were asking things like, well, what kind of wine do you want in the room? What kind of alcohol, like liquor, do you want in the room? Do you want your bed hard or soft? Do you want hypoallergenic pillows? feather pillows, whatever. It was just like the questions went on and on and on. It was a pretty unique experience. Not definitely not something I've ever experienced with a cruise before. So this is pretty much gonna spoil me for any other cruise line going forward. But I'm looking forward to it. Should be interesting. Um, oh, going with your cousin again. Awesome. Always good to have a fun travel buddy. Um, oh, okay, okay. Yeah, and of course, because we always talk about High Vivid, um, the thing with the Vantage Club, of course, is it gives you now you get access to the rooftop pool, which used to be for everybody, but they made a wild shift on that one. Also, you get access to the rooftop restaurant for breakfast and lunch. And I think what else is well, also your rooms are on a higher floor, so you're gonna have better views and stuff like that. So, there's definitely some benefits to booking Vantage Club. As if nothing else, having access to that rooftop pool, in my opinion, is a pretty big win. So definitely, yeah. So yeah, I've got excuse me, I've got that trip coming up, and then heading to the Dominican Republic, going to check out the Rio Palace Bavaro, or Bavaro, as some people say, but the correct pronunciation is Bavaro. And so that is part of a multi-resort complex. It's a Rio complex with the Rio uh, what's the basic one? There's the Rio Palace Punta Cana. That's on one of the far sides. There's the Rio Palace Macau, which is adults only. Rio Palace Punta Cana is just a regular Rio Palace resort. Rio Palace Macau is an elite club resort. Rio Palace Bavaro, that we'll be staying at, has been just renovated, just recently reopened, and it is now an elite club resort, but it's family friendly. I'm hoping, and I'm confused because, you know, with these resort change with these resort chains, they make a statement about how things, uh, run, and then the resorts do something totally different. So with the Rio Palace, with a Rio Palace resort that has elite club, guests staying there, not necessarily booked in an elite club room category, because it's just a room category, um, those guests, in theory, have access to all of the other Rio Palace resorts. This is the first destination that's got 2 elite club resorts, and from what I'm reading of the material in the spec sheets and stuff like that, if you're staying at Rio Palace Macau, which was sold out when I wanted to book, and I did want to stay at the newly renovated Bavaro, either way, but the Rio Palace Macau is elite club, and it says it has access to all of the other Rios in the area. But if you were staying at the Rio Palace Bavaro, uh, then then it says that we only have access to the Rio Palace Punta Cana. Um, and I'm just trying to see what the other resort is. Of course, I don't have it at my fingertips. Okay, this one should do it. World's tiniest image. Help me out, guys. Does anybody remember what the name of the regular Rio is? I want to say Rio Republica, but I think that's down the beach. Let's see if this one's any better. Oh, here we go. Okay, so no, still not. Oh, the Rio Bamboo. That's the other one. Yeah. And of course, so we'll have access to those other resorts, but not for so that this is the other thing. So, I mean, it was only, like, 10 months ago that I was at the Rio complex in Cabo San Lucas, and there, what they were allowing is you could do breakfast, lunch, and dinner buffet at any of the properties that you were allowed to visit. You weren't allowed to do the all à la carte, but you could go to the bars, you could go to the buffet, and as I said, that was for all meals. In the past, it was only for lunch. Um, Again, what I'm reading is in the Dominican, it's only for lunch, and it looks like we will not have access to the Rue Palace Macau. So, me, I'll be doing a little chatting people up to try to get onto the property because I want to take some videos for you so that you can see what it looks like. Also, like I said, really curious to see the Rio Palace Bavaro. And I'm a little bit disappointed in all the people who've been to this property and haven't really done any videos on it. I mean, that's one of the first things that I look at. I, get excited about a resort, see different things. I don't want to be that person, and I even have it on my YouTube bio page where, I don't want to be that person that comes back from vacation and somebody says, "Hey, oh wow, where'd you go?" "Well, I went to this resort." "Oh, that's awesome. Did you find that neat little cafe around the corner? It's not part of the resort, but they just had the most amazing blah blah blah, whatever. Great for people watching and blah blah blah." And it's like, no, I never went to that side. So I do like to do a bit of research ahead of time. I mean, it does kind of spoil things a little bit in as much as then you don't get to experience it yourself for the first time, if you know what I mean. It's not a new experience. But yeah, there's a surprising lack of information out there about either the changes to the Rio Palace Bavaro or like just information about the property. So I intend to fill that gap. So stay tuned for lots of videos on that. Beyond that, I don't have anything else booked for next year. Let me know what you guys have got booked. I know, Christine, you said you're going to book for Hyatt Vivid. Elizabeth, if you're watching, I know from Elizabeth from South California, she has got just a ton of trips coming up. Angelo, I know you're off to Las Vegas. Is it next week? Looking at my calendar. I think the week after that. And then I know you've got like buckets of trips coming up after that. But yeah, let me know where y'all are heading off to and which trip you're looking forward to most. I have to say, this cruise is going to be probably a bit mind blowing. And like I said, it's probably going to spoil me for ever cruising on any other cruise line. I do enjoy cruising with Princess, but yeah, this is going to be a posh situation. Now, I'm a little worried it might be a little bit too posh. It might be too, does it feel like the staff are hovering, or does it feel like they're just there when you need them? I'm hoping it's the latter, but we shall see. Um, yeah, but I gotta say, so I just want to have a little diversion or side conversation for a second. I got the new iPhone 16. I got it on Black Friday actually, and I, I don't know if it's worth doing a whole video on it or not. But what's interesting is uh, the camera and the audio on the iPhone 16 are insane. Elizabeth, if you're watching this, if you don't have the iPhone 16, I highly recommend that you get it because I know you're starting to do more YouTube videos and stuff like that. Um, I mean, the zoom goes 25 times. The camera is amazing and way better than any of the other previous iPhone versions, and I would argue better than any of the Android models. The audio, there's like I think four speakers, and it records four layers, sorry, of audio. So the other day I was out at a restaurant. It was super noisy pre-Christmas, and lots of going on around me, plus background music, plus TVs were on. And I did a quick little video, and then when I got home, I was replaying it, and the audio is amazing. Like, you can change it to, like I said, 4 different tracks, and when I flipped through them, one of them, it sounded, I mean, you could still hear, but it wasn't like, "Ah," all, in competing voices. So, I'm telling you, if you are getting into doing more videos, game changer, seriously. Um, Christine saying, looking at a New Year's cruise. Oh, is that for this year or for next year? Because if it's this year, it's kind of clock's ticking on that one. She lives in Orlando a few times this year. Well, hey, that's the fun thing about it, is trying to decide what you want to do when you want to do it. And, it's just, tell you what, like, if you don't have a trip in the works, it's fine, life goes on, but it's just nice to have something to look forward to. When you have a bad day or you're going through a crummy time of life, if you've got these trips on the horizon, whether they're with, your partner or with friends, or with your partner and with friends, sometimes just having that little bit of sunshine on the horizon makes a big difference. Oh, okay, next year, so 2025 New Year's. Interesting. That would be a lot of fun, actually. I've got friends who are on a ship sailing around Cape Horn. So they've started off in Argentina, excuse me, and they've sailed down the east coast of South America, and right now they're down with the penguins and the icebergs, and it is freezing cold and very wavy, I believe. And but they're having a great time. So they've just done Christmas on the ship, and they've got another 10 days or more on the ship. I think about 15 days, actually. So they are going to be cruising back up, and they will be finishing off in Santiago, Chile. So quite the trip, all in all. Obviously, and I think they spent a few bucks on the trip, but it's once in a lifetime. I don't know. It's a longer cruise, so and I think the idea with a cruise like that is it's similar to Alaska, where it's something that you do it at least once, just so you can see. I mean, where else are you gonna fly to Antarctica and go and see the penguins? Probably not. Whereas on this cruise, a cruise like this with this kind of itinerary, you have the opportunity to see a bunch of different things. And I am very curious to hear what their experience is like from the sort of Christmas and New Year's perspective. Do they get turkey? Do they do it Christmas Eve, or do they do it Christmas morning? Because everybody's different, right? Do they open the presents in the evening or in the morning? And then what's the New Year's Eve gig? Is it a dress up situation? Is it a fun party? Is it for all ages or more adult oriented? I am curious to hear. So we shall see on that one. Christine, who are you looking at sailing with for the New Year's thing, or is it just kind of wide open, more itinerary based? Um, I think, well, if your sister lives in Orlando, she's probably got nice weather anyways, but living up here in Vancouver, I think I would be looking at Mexico or the Caribbean and go somewhere warm, get out of this cold, cold weather. Yeah. So just reflecting on some of the trips from this year, obviously it was great. I really enjoyed going to the Rio Palace and the Palace resorts, well, all the resorts, the excuse me, the Rio complex in Cabo, and um, here we go. Let me see. Sorry, I just wanted to mute my thing so I could clear my throat. Um, Yeah, that was the first trip of the year, I believe, and that was great, very interesting comparing the resorts, and again, like I said, you know, you go to one Rio resort and they tell you this is how it is. Well, that's not specific to Rios. I think across the board, the different chains do the same thing where they'll say everything's one way and then not so much, and whether that's because they're addressing the requests of the guests and they're accommodating to them, or that's just what management and the owners have decided. I don't know. But it is interesting to see how they all differ. Um, and then flash forward to the fall with the Rio Palace Aruba, or the Rio Palace Antilles in Aruba, because there is also beside it a Rio Palace Aruba. I stand by what I've said. I think the food at that property was incredible. I mean, like I said, lobster on most of the menus. And it was well prepared, it wasn't some junky piece of like previously frozen, mishandled, lobster. It was well done. This was very nice. So she's looking at celebrity, not a lot of kids, more upscale, no water slides and such. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, if there's nothing for the kids to do, then surely parents would look into that before booking onto into a cruise like that. So yeah, probably be significantly less kids on a celebrity cruise. Also tends to be less on Holland America, but it also it's just going to depend on the time of year. So New Year's, if that is if you're just doing like a weekend cruise, because what Christmas will be, don't know if next year's a leap year or not. But then Christmas will be on Thursday, oops, which means to say, where's my calendar? So then New Year's Eve will be on a Wednesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday this year, so it'll be Wednesday next year. Oh, let's see, February 28th, so it's not a leap year. Yeah. So, yeah, that's solid logic for sure. Um, Virgin is another one that I am really wanting to try. Um, because it is specifically adult only. Is some interesting itineraries, and just the whole concept of cruising with them is a little bit different. So yeah, I think it would be very interesting to see, how that compares. I mean, I haven't cruised on Celebrity before. I've been on Holland America. I've been on Princess several times, and I have to say, between the two, I prefer Princess. It's also way easier to build up your loyalty level with Princess because do they the loyalty program works based on the number of cruises that you've taken, not the duration, not the number of days at sea. So with Holland America, for example, it's all based on how many days you have sailed with them. With Princess, it's based on the number of cruises you've done with them. So, Christine, for your sister who lives in Orlando, um, if she goes on like a couple of 1 day or 2 day cruises, she could very quickly get up to platinum status. And then the benefits are pretty amazing because then you start to get all the perks of like priority embarkation, priority disembarkation, priority tender, all of that kind of stuff. It all makes a difference. That's for sure. Um, yeah, I agree. They do something weird, like you get so many credits for the drink package. My fear would be that you'd sort of mentally be in that state where you'd sort of think of it like it was a drink package and then end up with a huge bill at the end of it. And that's okay if you budget for that or you plan for that. But if it comes in as a surprise, not so much. Um, yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. But, yeah, I mean, I think Celebrities is a solid choice for sure. Royal Caribbean is much more gonna be family oriented, Carnival for sure. Um, uh, Holland America, but Holland America, this is a different type of trip altogether, just because of the ships, the size, and all that kind of stuff. But what was interesting is we used to have these cruise. I forget what it's even called. It was a cruise convention, and it would usually be either here or in Seattle or down in Florida. And they would, have all the cruise ships in for the beginning of the Alaska season, and we would have a big convention where you could go on board and you could tour them, and it was usually like an hour or 2 hours kind of thing tops. Get down to BC Place for, 10 a.m., get on board, do the whole ship tour thing, see everything, and then by noon, you're off the ship, and then you're going to the next seminar or whatever. It's very interesting, and, it was interesting to see how the ships compared. So as much as I haven't sailed on Celebrity, I've been on their ships before. And what was interesting is the stark contrast of the hallways. Like, what a silly thing, but the hallways were wider, and the carpets seemed a little bit more, the carpets and the accents seemed a little bit more plush, compared to some of the other cruise lines. So it's just, little touches like that. And they're things that cost these, whether it's a resort that's doing it or a cruise line, these are little touches that cost the millions of dollars, generally go unnoticed, but they contribute to the experience, and they contribute to it being a much better experience. It's more the things that you don't notice, like, where's the salt and pepper shakers? Or, um, I don't know, why is there no extra, like, cutlery and serviettes and stuff like that where you're getting pizza or you're getting a hot dog or something? Oh, sorry. Like, I was like, "Did the power just go out?" No, it's just my ring light, but that's okay. Um, yeah, like I said, rainstorm, windstorm, so you just never know. Um, yeah, it's just the little things that they're just there, or you'll have, like, fresh flowers instead of plastic flowers. It's subtle touches, and, so sometimes, going on a slightly more to a slightly more posh resort or on a cruise line can make a big difference. So, yeah. Um, yeah, so just recapping the trips again. So like I said, comparing the Rio resorts in Cabo to the ones in Aruba, I mean, price point, anything in Aruba is extremely expensive. It's supply and demand. And also it's what everybody else is charging. They're not going to have similar pricing to Rios in Mexico when everything in Aruba, all the hotels in Aruba are expensive to start with. But like I said, the experience was definitely well worth it. And Aruba is just such a beautiful place, friendly people. So I highly recommend that. Um, and then, geez, what else did we do? Oh, so then obviously Hyatt Vivid, that was a couple of trips last year. I still stand by that hotel as being a solid choice. Again, it's not on the beach, so it's not for everybody, that's for sure. But it was interesting, doing the second trip to Cancun this year. It's not over yet. And just comparing a lot of the different properties and, being in Cancun, supposed to be heading to Playa Blanca, and then diverting down to Tulum instead. So, it's interesting to, just refresh and see those different areas. It's worth noting that the Tulum airport is getting busier and busier, but some of the airlines are removing flights. So, take a look at that. If you're staying anywhere I would say anywhere south of Playa del Carmen, Port Aventuras, the Barcelos, the Palladiums, not the Iberostar, the Grand Bahia Principe. If you're staying at any of those properties, I'd probably be best to fly into Tulum Airport. Alternatively, fly into Cancun, take the train down. I mean, it's probably going to take about as long because of the stops along the way, and it does go a little bit slower at certain areas, but the drive from Cancun to Tulum area, it's usually busy, a little bit of stress, lots of accidents, unfortunately. So the train is definitely something a bit more of an adventure, and it might be a lot easier. Although I will say that transportation from the train stations to into the town, because they're usually about 5 to 10 miles from where the train station's located into sort of the central city area, is usually 5 to 10 miles, away. So and maybe not, maybe I think not Puerto Morelos, Playa del Carmen, it might have only been 2 miles, but it wasn't easy. Especially, if you don't speak the language, then that's a problem. Did purchase one of those Facebook ads. It said earphone translator. This is one of those ads that you see on Facebook, and the person's like, "Wow, I can understand what you're saying. Oh, wow, I can translate, I can understand," which is great, except that doesn't help you have a two-way conversation. But I'm curious to see how these work. So I'm not even going to tell you what brand they are. Well, I don't remember what brand they are, but um, if they actually work and they're functional, then I'll let you guys know. But at the end of the day, I mean, honestly, it's Google. The Google Translate app is the winner. And for me, I actually put it in my tray, like at the bottom, so that it's one touch. And of course, you can do the conversation thing with that. So uh, a lot of times the taxi drivers tend to speak more English in Mexico, than the Uber drivers, although, things are changing. Um, but if you wanna have a conversation with your Uber driver, then, I've used Google Translate before, and it's amazing because you speak in English, it translates and reads it out to the other person in Spanish. They respond in Spanish, translates it, and reads out the answer to you in English. So, albeit a slower conversation, but you can have a two-way conversation. Um, it's amazing, and you can download the language that you need to your phone so that you're not using data, if that's a concern for you. So, yeah, definitely, some little tricks to consider, especially if you're not fluent in the language, or if you're going to be going sort of off the beaten track a little bit, and then trying to have a conversation with people, or if you need help. Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I don't know how many times I've traveled to Mexico before I knew how to say "help me" in Spanish. Didn't actually occur to me. Well, I mean, it's not like you plan for trouble. You don't plan for things to go wrong. But one should always be prepared. And Ayuda, I think is how you say it. Ayuda me. Um, Useful information to know. So yeah. So yeah, lots of trips coming up. Had a great year of travel this year, and yeah, looking forward to lots more next year and sharing that with you. Got my Insta 360 camera, still figuring that out. Got the new iPhone with its tricky new audio, tricky new video. So I'm pretty much only going to be filming in 4K going forward. So I know this is 720. That's just what this streaming app does. But yeah, to be able to share with you, 4K video of these destinations, especially with this Explora Journeys cruise, and the amazing destinations that we're going to be visiting, with Guadeloupe, Saint Martin, Saint Thomas, I think Saint Bart's or Saint Kitts. I forget which one we're going to. But yeah, so lots of great great things to share with you coming up. So I'm going to wrap it up for this week. Next week, we're going to be back on Wednesday. That will be Wednesday, January 1st. And as I finish this, I will go ahead and create that stream so that everybody knows what's going on. Things kind of got a little bit away from me this week, so I didn't get a chance to post this video to let you know up until last night. But next week, we're back on track. So I hope you guys are having a great holiday week, whatever you're doing, whatever you're celebrating. Curious to hear about your New Year's plans as well. Are you the type that likes to stay up until midnight? Do you watch the TV, the ball coming down in New York? Do you have family around the world that you're cheersing to throughout the day? I know we've got family in Africa and England. Well, if you want to go the whole route of family, we've probably got them almost everywhere. But so yeah, 2 o'clock is usually the first cheers. That's to South Africa and Botswana. And then 4 p.m. is England. And then because we're cheersing at 2 in the afternoon, usually I'm sleeping by midnight. So yeah, if I was at a resort, maybe, but I'm not a big party person, not so much for the crowds either. So it's not like I'm going to go out to a restaurant or something like that. Just no. And then also like getting home after that, trying to get an Uber or a taxi at 1:30 in the morning or 1 in the morning. Never fun. So yeah, that's my plans. I don't know about you guys, what you guys are up to, but no matter what you do, I hope you have a great time. Um, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you know what? Thanks to you, Angelo, and Christine, and everybody else who always tunes in, whether they tune in live or whether you tune in after the fact, whenever you're available. Elizabeth, I know you often watch later. Cruise Nuts, you guys are great. Thank you so much for supporting the channel this year. And yeah, looking forward to taking you on lots of journeys next year. And yeah, I guess this is it. I guess I'll see you guys next year. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. Have a happy New Year's, and wishing you all the best for 2025. So